Hey y'all, and welcome back to Tab Space. Today I'm here with another article, and I'm gonna ask y'all. I asked my old Instagram. I might put up another poll on my Tab Space Instagram page. I'm not too sure, but the results I got were basically 60-40. I would say, like, give or take. But which is worse to you, losing a friend or losing your significant other? For me, acutely, it's worse for me to lose my significant other. I think that I go through a lot more emotions in the moment, but once I get over it, I'm over it. In the long run, a friendship breakup is a lot worse to me because I have friends that I'm no longer friends with now that I think about them now. I'll think about them 10 years from now. It's been 7 years since our incidents have happened, and I'm still stuck on that. So I can't get over a friendship breakup the same way I can get over a regular breakup. They both hurt. They both hurt very bad. But for me, I would say losing my friends are worse than losing my boyfriend or my girlfriend. So we all know that going through a breakup is mentally trying and can be a source of depression. But what about friendship breakups? I'm sure we've all been through at least one or two friendship breakups in our lifetime. So why are these so difficult to navigate? Well, an article by New York Magazine titled "Exactly Why Are Friendship Breakups So Brutal" aims to answer that question. So the author, Melissa Dowell, and I might be saying that wrong, so I apologize if I am, but she says people like to say that friend breakups hurt as much as romantic breakups, as if they're the first person to realize this. But they do have a point. I rarely think of the guy I dated in my early 20s, save for the occasional activation of a very specific scent memory, Bud Light and cigarette smoke. I lost a friend group in that breakup. I was new to Seattle, and they were his high school friends, so fair enough, I don't think of them much either. But part of my brain must still be mulling it over because they still show up in my dreams 16 years later. I have to agree, I don't mull over lost relationships the same way I do friendships. It's a lot easier to see where I and the other party went wrong and start to do the internal work to remedy that in future endeavors than it is with a friendship. With friendships, sometimes you know why y'all are not friends anymore, sometimes you don't. You might not realize where you went wrong. You might realize where they went wrong, but you might not see your point. And if they never tell you and you never talk about it, you might never get to that point with them. If you ask people directly about it, they'll say feeling betrayed by a friend is equally as painful as feeling betrayed by a romantic partner. Something social psychologist MH, I'm not going to try to say their name because it's not something that I can pronounce. Then we asked them hypothetically, what do you think people are more upset about? They chose romantic relationships. So first they asked, feeling betrayed by a friend is equally as painful as being betrayed by a romantic partner. That was the first statement made. The next statement made was, which one hurts worse? You choose a romantic relationship to hurt worse. That's very confusing. If you ask people directly about it, they'll say feeling betrayed by a friend is equally as painful as feeling betrayed by a romantic partner. But when you ask them, hypothetically, what do you think people are more upset about? They choose romantic relationships. Ooh, the way that they describe that, just like, it's confusing. It's very confusing. It's like y'all in one breath are saying it's equal, and then in the next breath, you're saying hypothetically, which one are you more upset about? Huh? It's equal. Now you're more upset about the other one. Okay. For me to break this down, I think it's easy to say, initially, you might believe that it's an equal feeling of betrayal. But if asked what you might be more emotionally upset about, people choose their relationships. Say, for instance, your significant other cheats on you versus your friend goes and talks badly about you. Both of them are a kind of betrayal. It's going to hurt you worse in the moment to go through getting cheated on than somebody talking badly about you. You choose your partner. You love your partner. You're with your partner every day, likely. So when they do something to you to betray you and your trust, it stings in a different part of your heart. Because although you love your friends, you're not in love with them. You're in love with your partner though. So when they betray you, that shit hurts on a whole other level. But we're not asking about betrayal necessarily. We're talking about which one hurts worse to lose. When you lose a friend, your friends often know that friend you're no longer jiving with. This opens you up to having to deal with that loss without the support you'd get if you were in a breakup. If you talk about the situation, you're looked at as talking badly about the other person. If you have mutual friends, it's a lot more difficult to get over that friendship breakup. When you're around your other friends, your brain's going to associate that other person with being with those people. So that's painful. You also probably can't really talk to the mutual friends y'all have about it because you don't want them to think that you're talking badly. You don't want it to get back to that other person. And you're not attempting to skew the person's view of that person. You're just trying to explain your point of view. It makes it a lot more difficult to have that conversation if y'all have that person in common. Friendship breakups are a more private kind of pain. You can't talk about it as much as you can with a regular breakup. See, so the article basically goes on to say, when I was dumped by my boyfriend, my friends came over to comfort me. They checked in on me. They made sure I was doing okay. Amy, who's in her early 30s, says she now lives in Europe, but she'd spent much of her 20s in New York living with Michelle, her roommate and best friend. But then Amy moved away and Michelle slowly stopped responding to her texts. With this, there was no clear event. And I mean, I lived with her longer than I've lived with any other partner ever. So it was, in that sense, a much bigger deal. But the support system didn't kick into gear. And really, how could it have? Your friends probably know your ex-friend, which makes this kind of cathartic shit-talking you do after losing a significant other not exactly an option. Hey, y'all, I know it's a new scenery. I know it's a new platform. I know it's a new everything. But I had to stop what I was doing, finish my job, my day job, and get home to finish the end of the video. So, let's get back into it. So, basically, it's more likely for friendships to wither slowly, eventually dying of neglect than a relationship. I think I've mentioned it before in the video, but closure is very important to us. And when we don't get it from a situation, it makes it very hard to process. So, if your friendship withers and dies of neglect rather than a conversation of, hey, I feel this way, you did this, I feel this way about it, we're either going to fix it or we're not going to deal with each other anymore, there's a lot of we just stop talking. And we don't know if we're cool or not. And really, there's no way to tell unless y'all have a conversation or y'all see each other in person. You generally deal with a conflict differently in a friendship than in a relationship. You normally handle a conflict head on with your partner, but with your friend, it can be a little more difficult, especially if you have mutual friends. There's more of a risk of you being judged or shunned from the group than your relationship ending over a disagreement. I take a minute to handle a conflict with my friend, a lot longer to handle a conflict with my friend than with my partner. I think your partner knows you on a different level, and you just handle your issues head on, and then you work out the details later. When it comes to your friends, I'm the type that I'll take a minute to figure out whether or not I want to address something with my friend and how I'm going to do it, because I don't want to lose my friend and I don't want to lose my partner either, but I don't think I'm going to lose my partner by expressing myself. I think there's a possibility I could lose my friend from expressing myself because I've lost friends that same way. I've not lost a relationship just because I expressed myself. But I've lost many friendships because I've expressed myself. So I think that we're a little, we walk on eggshells around those types of situations. So Dr. Lee Beverly Fair, a social psychology professor at the University of Winnipeg, who studied friendships for about 40 years, once asked people how they would handle conflicts in a romantic relationship versus a friendship. In a romantic relationship, people say you should talk it out. But friendships, just the opposite. People are really, really conflict avoidant in friendships. Most people, she's found, pull back from a friendship when they're upset. For some, that's the first step toward a breakup. For others, it's the temporary step back in hopes things will get better. The problem is that your friend doesn't know what your motivation is. All your friend knows is that you're avoiding them. And it's the part about we pull back when we're upset, and we may do it temporarily in hopes that things will just get better. Sometimes we just expect a problem to dissipate with our friends. We know that a problem's not just going to dissipate with our lover, but we just expect it to just like vanish into thin air or get a little bit less serious than it was when it originally happened. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And when you're avoiding your friend, they don't know which direction it's going to go in, and I don't think that you quite know which direction it's going to go in either. So that uncertainty, we like to be certain about stuff. When we're not, it makes us uncomfortable. It builds anxiety. We would rather just leave it alone. It can be easier to pull back than to deal with an issue with a friend. It's also difficult to know how to approach a situation with a friend because you never know how it'll be perceived. And when you care for someone deeply, you don't want to hurt them or lead them to believe that your intent is to disrespect them or your friendship. I think more of us worry about getting into an argument or a fight with our friend than we do about getting into an argument or a fight with our significant other. Maybe for many reasons. Maybe your friend knows more about you than your significant other. Maybe they've been around longer than your significant other. Maybe they know where they need to poke to hurt you. Maybe, there's so many different reasons why we might be afraid of it. Maybe we just care so deeply about them, we just don't want to see them hurting. And we don't want to be the cause of it. 10 years after Michelle started avoiding her, Amy still dreams about her, just like I still dream about those Seattle friends. This is the only reoccurring dream I've ever had in my life, she says. It always goes the same way. They unexpectedly meet somewhere, they say how much they've missed each other, and then they cry and hug. One time, I actually did run into her unexpectedly. Her heart was racing, but she tried to catch Michelle's eye to say hello, and she turned her back on me. Well, that's the answer. We're no longer friends, but look how long it took us to get to that point. Look how the longer something goes on, the more stressful it is. The quicker something is, the less. See, the dreams to me indicate, so I like to interpret dreams. I'm a dream interpreter. I like to interpret my own dreams. I like to interpret other people's dreams. To me, the dreams indicate that there's a stone unturned in that situation, meaning there's uncertainty there. You're uncertain of what could have been done right, what could have been done wrong. You're uncertain if you're even friends or not anymore. You're uncertain of the direction that the friendship could have gone in. Like, there's so many things that were left unsaid in that situation. So when you have dreams about things like that, I generally take it to mean there is something that I'm missing here. I don't know what it is, but there's something that I'm missing here. In the aftermath of the most famous breakup of my youth, Paris Hilton said to her then ex-friend Nicole Richie, "They're on again." Nicole knows what she did. You gotta wonder if maybe she didn't. Amy eventually wrote Michelle a letter to apologize, while also asking her to clarify what exactly she needed to apologize for. She never heard back. It's just a complete mystery, Amy says. What did I do? What happened? So in the situation with Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton, Nicole might not know what she did. And we do that. You know what you did. Y'all know what y'all did. If we not friends anymore, you know what you did. You might not know what you did. And pride will get in the way of a lot of different relationships. Neither party is putting their pride to the side. One of them's not asking what they did wrong. The other one is assuming that the other person knows what they did wrong. Pride will get in the way of a lot of things in life, and friendships are a huge one of them. And then you got the apology letter that you never got a response for. So, that apology letter, writing it was probably very anxiety inducing. Every day waiting for a response for that letter, anxiety inducing, and then to never get a response. What did I do? What did I do? It's so hard to process something you don't understand. We are such inquisitive beings. We just want to know. We just want to know. We just want to know. And when we don't understand something or there's no way to get clarity on it, it's so frustrating. It'll drive you nuts for the rest of your life sometimes, depending on what it is. There's a lot of mystery involved in a friend breakup, and there are times where closure never happens. As humans, we would rather deal with the evil we know versus the unknown. Our brains can process something better if we can see it coming to reduce the stress effects. It's somewhat obvious to say that uncertainty drives us nuts. It's what fuels anxiety, keeps astrologists in business, but it also might be easy to underestimate the degree to which people hate feeling like they're in the dark. Most people would rather definitely have an electric shock right now than maybe get shocked later. And people tend to show more signs of physical stress when waiting on an unpredictable shock than a predictable one. You could even argue, as some neuroscientists do, that your brain's most important job is to reduce uncertainty. Maybe that's why it's become so popular in the last 10 years or so to talk about cutting off friends who are toxic. What kinds of decisive action feels psychologically safer than endless ambiguity? It feels better for me to cut you off because you're toxic than it feels for me to sit back and wait for you to cut me off. It also feels better for me to know what I did wrong or what I did not do wrong in a situation than for me to not. That was straight out the article. Like I said before, we like the evil that we know versus the evil that we don't know. That's why a lot of people get stuck in relationships. Well, yeah, they're a piece of crap, but the dating pool is full of shit, and the next 20 might be a piece of crap too. So this is an evil I know. This is an evil I don't. I'm comfortable. I'm uncomfortable, but I'm comfortable, and I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable because I don't want to be uncomfortable somewhere else. Just saying. It's an uncertain situation. The researcher and author Lisa Feldman Barrett recently wrote for Scientific American, your brain must assemble multiple predictions with multiple action plans and maintain them for an extended time through neuronal activity and other brain functions. It takes energy to rehearse all that, which helps explain why a friend fading you out can feel so bad on a physical level. I am a planner. I want to think of every possible outcome, every possible strategy, every road I could take, every in, every out, all of it. If I don't have a plan going into something, if I didn't have these notes going into this video, we would not even be this far. You wouldn't have learned anything from me. I need a plan. So, In order for me to deal with a friendship or a relationship or whatever the case may be, I need a plan. And if my friend just shuts me out and just like we just stop talking, I don't have a plan. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know if are we still friends? Are we not? Are we enemies now? Frenemies? What avenue do I go down? I don't know. That uncertainty might lead me to never ask. And I'll just leave it up to her. Closure is important, y'all. Honestly, whether you know why or you don't know why, a friendship breakup is going to hurt you. But it's harder to process it if you don't know. A prime example, when Maria Konnikova, the author and psychology PhD, was a freshman in college, she made fast friends with a group of girls, all freshmen, and all of whom happened to speak Russian, like Konnikova. Then one day, out of nowhere, as far as Konnikova knew, they came to her dorm with an announcement. They talked it over. They decided that she no longer fit into the friend group. And 20 years later, just recounting the story makes her feel a little sick. My body is having a low-key stress response right now, she said. I viscerally feel it in my arms and in my stomach. I don't know if you've experienced being shunned from a group or being, excluded from something or abandoned or just in general not being a part of something that you once were. It is very anxiety inducing. It makes you feel like you're alone. It makes you feel like you won't ever find that type of companionship again. So whether you get closure or you don't, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt real bad. But at least with this, she can start to find ways to cope. If she doesn't know why, closure's not really there. But she can now move on with her life. It just sucks because I think we've at least experienced one situation where somebody's been like, you know what? This just ain't for me. You're just not for me. And I'm just not for you. And it hurts. It hurts real bad. They gave Konnikova a reason. She was too competitive. Konnikova has no mercy or no memory of being especially competitive with any of these friends, but she did go on to become a successful professional poker player. So who knows? But the thing about friends is, and especially best friends, is they're supposed to see your flaws, even call us on them, and love us anyway. I feel like one of the main differences between a friend and a best friend is a best friend will let you be the worst version of yourself. Some guy on TikTok said in a video posted in late July, which has so far apparently resonated with 1.3 million people. So honestly, that's another reason why it hurts so bad when somebody that's your friend leaves you. You were supposed to see me for who I am, and you were supposed to continue to love me. Especially if I saw you for who you were and I still loved you, that shit's gonna hurt my soul. Because it makes me feel like I can't be accepted. It makes me wonder what's wrong with me. A psychologist might call that unconditional positive regard, a phrase popularized by the therapist and author Carl Rogers in the 1950s, accepting someone for who they are and choosing to see the best of them. That's what unconditional positive regard is. So with most of your friends, you have unconditional positive regard. Meaning no matter what they do, no matter how bad it gets, you're always going to love them. Always. Unconditionally. Reason given or not, no longer being accepted by a group of your peers is extremely painful, and it takes a blow to a person's confidence. Especially if you feel it's because someone saw you at your worst. You aim to be accepted at your worst and your best. If you have unconditional positive regard, if you have a unconditional positive regard complex, it's difficult when people don't share the same sentiment. So basically what I said about if you love someone unconditionally and they don't love you unconditionally, it feels like a slight. It hurts. Because it's like, I accepted you for everything that you have in you. All I wanted was for you to do the same. And that kind of stuff, it can harden someone's heart. It can make them a little cold and cynical and have abandonment issues. But when you experience things like that, you have to work through those issues. You have to do the healing work. Have these conversations. Talk about how you were unconditionally there for somebody and they weren't there for you and it hurt. Let it out. Because no matter who you have to talk to about it, you got to let it out. There's also the issue of misplaced expectations in a friendship. That's a huge thing. I've had many times in my friendships where there's been this expectation that, like, a friend is supposed to do this, a friend is supposed to do this, a friend is supposed to do this. To every one of us, we've got a different idea of what a friend is supposed to do and what roles they're supposed to play. We all do. And when our expectations don't match, that can cause a huge disconnect between you and your friends. So you have to have a real adult talk about your expectations. Just like how you would with a relationship, you have to sit down and talk about your expectations as a friend. And if your expectations as a friend change, you have to make that clear. So that way your friends can act accordingly or choose not to be a part of it. And if they choose not to be a part of it, that's okay too. They don't need to be. They weren't supposed to be in the first place. That's the way I look at it. Anybody that's not here is not supposed to be. Anybody that is. And that goes for anything. You may look at love as being around someone all the time while your friend might not. When you don't see your friend, they may believe you don't want to be their friend anymore while you think it's a normal friendship. That's just a prime example. A friend of mine, let's call her Heather, is the type to say I love you with abandon, which is one of the reasons I love her. Years ago, she got a handwritten letter from a friend who essentially claimed that this sort of thing was tantamount to leading her on. She said, while I would say things like I love you to her, she felt like I didn't spend enough time with her or prioritize her enough. Heather told me at the time Heather was a new mom. She wasn't spending much time with anyone except her baby. So, there's a prime example of mismatched expectations. Love to one person meant I spend a lot of time with you. Love to another meant I see you when I see you and I love you. Whether you're here, there, anywhere, I love you. She was and is confused by the letter, but she doesn't sound particularly hurt by it. I think it was a mismatch of expectations, she said generously. It's okay to have mismatched expectations. Y'all got to discuss it. Y'all got to find a compromise. If you're meant to be friends, you're going to find a compromise and you're going to find a way to work it out. In fact, most people are probably making those kinds of mistaken assumptions about their friendships. On average, only half of your friends likely consider you a friend in return, according to a study I came across in 2016 that has continued to haunt me. So, I do want to say the story about Heather and the baby, as funny as it is, I do have a best friend named Heather, and she does have a new baby. That's not my story. That's from the article. I just want to make that clear. And that statistic is terrifying. Half the people that you call your friend consider you to be a friend. So think about half your friends. And if you only have one friend, don't worry about this. Don't worry about this. That's probably your friend. If you have 5 friends, that means only 2.5 of those people are really your friend. If you have 10 friends, only 5 of those people are your real friend. You got 20, that means 10. I'm a quality over quantity girl. I don't have a list of friends to call I've got a handful of quality people that I keep around that are sticking it out with me for years at a time. Those are the people I call my friends. I don't use the word friend lightly. You could either be my associate or you can be my friend, but I do not use the word friend lightly. A lot about friendship is unspoken, making genuine friendships stick out so much because you are without having to say it on the same page. Okay? I don't gotta say it. We're on the same page. If I don't see you for 3 weeks and we see each other on week 3, we are gonna have a time, baby. We are gonna have a time. If I don't see you for 3 years, we gonna catch up on them 3 years. And we gonna love it. Like, there are friends that get mad when you don't talk to them for a certain period of time, and then there are friends that you could go 20 years without seeing them, and y'all could see each other today, and it'd be like you never left. Those are real, genuine friendships. So let's go back to how people deal with confrontation in friendships. Fair has been quoted in approximately a zillion articles about friendship, and it bugs her when writers take her findings that people tend to back away from conflict with a friend rather than confront it directly and assume this is meant to preserve a friendship. You should deal with conflict directly. This must mean that to preserve a friendship, you should deal with conflict directly. The pipe the pop psych advice is always just to talk things over with your friend. But that's not as simple as it sounds, and in fact it can backfire often. So, here's what she went on to say. Honestly, I've written about psychology for more than a decade now, and I am guilty of providing exactly this sort of advice. Once I tried it in my own life, I told a friend she'd hurt my feelings like I was 4 years old. She recoiled, physically recoiled at the restaurant table, and our friendship never really recovered. I wonder what might have happened if I just let it go. Maybe a friendship as fragile as that was never meant to last, anyways. So I'm going to make this statement, and this statement will forever be what it is. No conversation about your feelings should lead to the end of a friendship, should lead to the end of a relationship, should lead to the end of anything. All that a conversation about your feelings should ever do is open up a door, open something up, a conversation, whatever. If it closes something, I promise you that thing was meant to be closed anyways. I'm telling you that right now. Any conversation, any situation of you being your true authentic self that closes a door is a door that was not meant for you to walk through to begin with. Okay? I want y'all to always remember that. Do not be afraid to talk about your feelings. Talk about your feelings more. If that leads to people that are not meant for you falling off. Because they will. They will. They'll say things like, oh, I've already heard this before. Blase, blase, blah. Boop, 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 boop. I don't care. If a person is telling you about their feelings, they want to open up to you so that way y'all can have a cohesive conversation. If you're not mature enough to do that, you don't have the communication skills to do that, you just are not for that, that's okay. Y'all just probably aren't meant to be in each other's lives because they do have those communication skills. They are an effective, communicator and expresser of their feelings. And you're just not ready for that type of mature adult relationship. And that's okay. You don't have to be. You choose if you want to work on that or not. Me personally, I will always prioritize effective communication and closing doors that are not meant to be open for me. Bye-bye. Losing friends or anyone in life, for that matter, isn't always a bad thing, nor is it an uncommon experience. Some people come into your life as a lesson, some people come into your life as a blessing. I consider whether it's a lesson or a blessing, it's a lesson. I'm sorry. Whether it's a lesson or a blessing, it's a blessing because a lesson is a blessing. You might hurt my feelings, you might waste my time, but I'm still blessed because you just taught me something. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with you if you lose people at any season in your life. A lot of times, the beginning of losing certain people is the first day of the rest of your new life. It's the beginning of you stepping into something that you wouldn't have been propelled into otherwise. Sometimes you get in a comfort zone with people and they do nothing but bring you a certain comfort that they can't maintain. And that's okay. Sometimes you need that kick in the ass to wake up and say, you know what? Today, I'm about to do something different. Today, I'm about to change something up. Today, I'm about to do something that actually makes me happy, that does things for me. Don't ever beat yourself up too bad about any loss you go through in life. Just take whatever lesson you can from it and be the best that you can be. You don't have time for that many close friendships, and some of them are going to cycle in and out. Everyone has people in their life where they just drift apart naturally. Why not let friendships end in a bit of mystery? It's usually a mystery how they start too. Slamming the door shut, no, we're not friends. You can feel better than not knowing where you stand, but tolerating that ambiguity could keep the door propped open, just in case. Let it be a mystery. I used to be the type that every friendship has to end in a burned bridge. I have to burn it to the ground. If we not each other no more, and then I realized it doesn't have to be that way. We could just drift apart. I could just stop talking to you and we could just drift apart naturally. We don't have to have any conversation about it. What's wrong with a little mystery? I like a little Scooby-Doo. You know what I mean? Like, ain't nothing wrong with it. Let people drift off. Let people fall off. Let people put themselves in the boxes that they need to be in your life. They're going to do it and God's going to do it for you. Just let it happen. Focus on you. Focus on being the best you, and the right people will gravitate. The wrong people, they're going to divide. The right people are going to gravitate to you, and one day you'll look back and you'll be like, this is the purpose that this friendship served me. On that day, I learned this lesson. And it'll all be worth it in the end. I promise you. Whether I'm still friends or I've drifted apart from you, I am the type of friend that will love you forever. Just from a distance. And that's what I needed for the betterment of both of us. Love is not something I take lightly. If I say I love you, or if I feel in my heart that I love you, I will always love you. I just might not be able to do it while I'm in your life. And that's okay. I don't have to do it while I'm in your life. I can do it from a distance. I can still pray for you from a distance. I just might not be able to be around you for whatever reason. And that's okay. I wish you the best. I want the best for everybody. I don't harbor any hate in my heart, not for a single soul. Not a single soul. And y'all shouldn't either. Every loss is a lesson. You just have to find it. Okay? And what did I say about lessons? Lessons are blessings. All right. If you're dealing with a friend breakup, I want you to know you're not alone. I also want you to know that this too will pass. Draw whatever lessons you can from that person, because everyone in life will teach you something. When one door closes, another one opens. Always remember that. You got this. And I hope that y'all have a wonderful Wellness Wednesday, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you. Bye.